3月份的那个在布里斯班的会都参加了，好的。
我不确定他有没有来。In February, we had the interfaith dialogue conferences in Brisbane.
Yes.
In City Hall.
Yep.
Master was just wondering, perhaps you have heard about this conference, or have you sent people to attend?
Some of my equivalents in other parts of Australia, I think, may have attended that conference. I was at another conference with Aboriginal Christians, but yes, others have been involved in that, and I'm part of a number of initiatives in Sydney and New South Wales, especially trying to do some of the same sort of things.
在新南威尔斯跟在雪梨地区是他比较着重负责的这个区域，他也在推动多元宗教的这个对话。是，但是那一次他没有去，那一次他正好在参加一个土著的会议。是。
The activity we've been most closely involved in here in New South Wales have been recently this year in planning and being involved with 2 events in Sydney before the Parliament of the World Religions events in Melbourne, and we've given quite a lot of time to that. So we held one big gathering in August, which brought together a wide variety, most of the major faiths. And then about just 2 weeks ago, we had another event in Parliament House here in Sydney, which was organised with young people, which was a good event too.
在12月份有一个世界宗教大会会在墨尔本举行，然后他们在这个之前呢举办过2次跟这个大会有关系的这个先前的活动，一个是在8月份的时候，他们有聚集当地的各宗教的这个负责人都有聚在一块儿，然后这个月呢他们也有一个青少年的这个宗教大会，那都是跟这个12月份的大会有关联的。
Probably we share offices here with the National Council of Churches, and I used to work for them. And the National Council of Churches has been developing its own relationships with people of other religions. It began particularly with the Jewish community. There's quite a long-standing connection with the Jewish community. Extended a few years ago with the Muslim community. But that's the major focus of interreligious work on a national level. But increasingly, I think they're building partnerships with and relationships with others as well through various organizations.
神父本身是帮这个新南威尔斯的这个就是基督教联合会做事情。那另外他们在同一个办公室里面还有一个就是澳洲全国的宗教联合会。那他之前帮他们也在做事。那就他所知，之前积极这个整个协会他们的方向是跟犹太教跟这个回教在进行积极的沟通。那这是他们目前的这个一个大方向。
And for yourself, what have been the most important activities that you have been involved in building those sort of relationships?
他是也想了解一下我们在这一方面，在多元宗教方面都最近做过哪一些活动，还有进行过哪一些的这种不同的这方面的交流。
我们在最近的10年。这方面工作做得很多也做过参加一些国际上这个和平的活动。
In the past 10 years, we have actively enrolled and attended various different international interfaith dialogues and international peace conferences.
我们在09年，这个09年、2000年。团结新加坡的宗教，新加坡有9个宗教，做这个工作做得很好，以后就是帮助印尼、马来西亚，我们也曾经组团做过旅行，觉得是宗教团结很好的一个 一个方式，让这些宗教领袖们能够有10几天的时间在一起生活，彼此交流，交换意见，确实化解许许多多的误会。
In 1999 and 2000, Master is fairly, you can almost say he was based in Singapore during that period of time. And there were 9 major religions in Singapore at the time. And Master is able to communicate with each one of them. And during those 2 years, many peaceful and great dialogues were promoted. And everyone was treating each other like brothers and sisters. It was really wonderful. And then later on, we went to Malaysia and Indonesia and tried to promote interfaith dialogues and communication as well. Basically, we have been trying to promote this important idea of that we need to understand each other and we need to learn from one another. So, and especially that we are now, we have a college in Toowoomba.
Yes.
Yes, we have a Pure Land Learning College in Toowoomba, and we are trying to do the same here in Australia as well.
我们曾经陪同这个新加坡的宗教团访问过中国，印尼的这个宗教团访问过欧洲，访问过罗马，也跟教宗上一届的教宗见面。这个陪同马来西亚的宗教团访问中国的新疆，都觉得这个很成功但是对宗教团结很有意义。
There were quite a few trips that we actually took with various faith leaders from Singapore and from Indonesia. We visited Rome and met up with John Pope II, and we also went to visited religious leaders in China. There was quite a few different trips that was made, and Master always felt that when religious leaders can travel together, spending 1 to 2 weeks together, that's the best way for them to communicate and to talk to each other.
Yes.
那我们现在看到这个世界社会秩序非常混乱，灾难很多，人民很痛苦。那么化解灾难促进世界的安定和平，我们想了很多如果能够从宗教团结这个路子可循的话，可以达到化解冲突促进社会安定和平。
Right now, our societies are facing many different kind of problems. Some of them we can even call them calamities or disasters. The only way to really combat or to resolve such problems, such conflicts, is really through religious unities, understanding and communication between different religions to help to resolve all these conflicts and the problems.
所以宗教要能够团结，最重要的还是互相学习。不从经典上学习的时候，这个宗教团结就不能扎根。
If we cannot learn from one another, different religions from one another, then it will be very difficult to really deepen this understanding and further communications. So Master has always suggested that we should study other people's, other religions' holy scriptures deeply and profoundly in order to fully understand what the other religions are teaching. That will help us in terms to resolve any misunderstanding or then further communication and mutual help to resolve any possible misunderstanding and resolve problems.
所以这个要互相学习，必须要把心量拓开，要能够包容要把这个成见放下要学谦虚像我们过去学过这个天主教的玫瑰经 我也曾经讲过这个事情。那么第一段里面就学习圣母玛利亚的谦虚，谦虚比什么都重要，只有谦虚才能够尊重别人，只有尊重别人，才能够化解冲突，才能够得到和平。
And Master always suggested that one should always hold a state of mind that's full of humility and being humbly learn from other people's teachings. Master Jinkong has given lectures on the rosaries in a Catholic school in Singapore.
Yes.
It was very, very well received, and the DVD was widely distributed in Singapore. But without truly and humbly trying to understand what other religions are teaching, we can never hope to resolve the possible misunderstanding.
所以我们希望澳洲在现代这个世界社会里面，比较上来说的，这个地方是安定的，灾难比较少的。所以我们也曾经跟总理谈过这个问题，总理希望澳洲宗教能够团结，能够带动整个世界的安定和平。
Australia is such a peaceful country. Compared to other continents, it's relatively peaceful and free of disasters and calamities. And the last time that Master is able to talk to the Prime Minister, he also expressed that he wished to see a more uniting religious communities. That way, we can lead Australia in the areas of religious harmony. We can lead the world and possibly influence our neighbors and extend this to the whole world.
所以我们在上一次布里斯班的会议上提出，世界宗教是一家。那之后呢，我参加这个亚太地区一个宗教这个宗教和平的会议在马尼拉开的，你去了没？
是不是？
在马尼拉。
是去了，是的，是的，
亚洲的哈。
是。
那我们在那里遇到联合国的这个世界和平组织的秘书长，我们跟他谈了很多，希望的时候他能够带动全世界的宗教团结，那么他也很有兴趣，也积极的进行。这是一桩好事情。
In February, we held an international interfaith conference in Brisbane. The main thing of the conference is one humanity, many faiths. So in fact, we are all one family. We belong to a big family living on this earth. And then later on, after this conference, I was invited to go to Manila to attend a conference held by the World Council of Religions for Peace. And the Secretary General, Dr. William Ventley, was there, and we talked in length. And I was very hopeful that together with the help from everyone, such as Dr. Ventley and every faith leaders, we can do something about uniting different religions and work for a better cause in terms of peace and harmony.
And what do you think are the next steps in that journey, or are we already on that journey and we just need to continue to walk?
他是想问师父说，师父觉得大家是已经朝这个方向在走了吗？还是有其他的这个师父有其他的这个想法？
向这个方向走。我接触许多宗教都很有浓厚的兴趣。
We are already walking on this path, that's for sure. Most of the religious leaders that Master Jinkong is able to come into contact with, they are very interested in continuing and furthering this movement.
Yes, yeah.
宗教真的能够携手合作，这个世界确实可以化解冲突，可以安定和平。
If different religions can treat each other with respect and care, then it is possible for all of us living on this planet Earth to enjoy lasting peace.
我们 这些年来学习许多宗教，对宗经典里面关于伦理、道德、因果这一些教诲，我们揭露了一些，编成一个小册子。那么当然，这里面缺陷还是很多。我们希望每一个宗教的时候，这些长者能多多给我们提供使将来这个小册子能够圆圆满满的，能够代表各个宗教的这个教诲我们大家做一个多本的，这是很有意义的。
Master Ching Kong encouraged all his followers to study other religions' scriptures. So for the past a few years, we have compiled a list of quotations from different religious holy scriptures, and of course, it's still it's still being revised, and it is no way nearly finished.
That's perfect.
So, please, if you have time, it will be great and we will be appreciative if you can go over it and give us any suggestions.
Yes.
We will be very grateful.
Yes, well, it's a wonderful thing you're doing. That's a great gift, and yes, I
这是
certainly
很好的礼物，
will.
谢谢。他会花时间来阅读。
所以我们终极的希望呢，是能够将来从澳洲做起在澳洲我们建立一个这个宗教教育电视台来普遍宣扬宗教教育，因为现在的社会最重要就是缺乏善情的教育。我们今天所看到的一切都是反常的都是在造作罪业的所以宗教人把里面的经典的关于伦理、道德、因果神圣的教育的时候，我们利用这个电视台24小时不断的来传播。我相信1年这个社会会安定。
These quotations are mostly related to the teachings of morality and virtue. And just to briefly explain ourselves, our association around the world, we actually have a satellite television network. Through 6 orbiting satellite, we can broadcast. We have been broadcasting for over 6 years, 24 hours a day, teaching of Buddhism around the world. As long as you have a dish, you can tune into it. And ultimately, Master was hoping that starting from Australia, ultimately different religions can unite together, and we can form and establish a similar television station where 24 hours different religious leaders can go up and give their own teachings to their followers. And it will also facilitate other religious followers to listen to other different religions and understand them better.
Yes, rather than each in their own area.
Yes, and the main reason for wanting to do that is that all the medias that we have easy access to nowadays, they all teach something that's contrary to what the religious scriptures are trying to teach us.
Yes.
And it's so filling our world right now that our teaching hasn't really got a place to be heard. So if we can establish something like that, that would be a wonderful platform for us to and in part
do
our
you
teachings.
Use the internet as well? And
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We have internet live transmission, basically internet live TV as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
是他问我们是不是有用网络？那生活说对，as well as traditional media such as books, DVDs.
Yes.
Yes.
Because what we hear about others, especially if it comes through the media, is not the same as what others might actually be like. We need to hear from others direct. I think that's when we do walk together, as you say. If we're able to spend time together and actually hear from one another rather than hear what someone else thinks someone else is saying.
他说常常他们听到有关于其他宗教的这些消息，都是透过媒体而来的，这等于是经过第二手的这个资讯了，那常常未必正确。如果我们有这个像师父说的这个电视台的这样一个平台，我们可以互相直接交流。
最重要是互相学习，能够带给全世界的安定和平，这是我们终极的一个目标。
And again, ultimately, he will love to see that religions learning from each other's, understanding each other, and thus reduce conflicts.
Yes.
Right now, we have so much conflict that's created by pseudo-religious conflict or cause that's being used as the religious conflict has been used as a cause for starting a conflicting situation. So we must try to reduce that.
Yes.
By learning each other's and understanding each other more.
Yes.
我们在许多宗教经典里面读到，这里头指了很多个人的吉凶祸福，关于身体健康状况，都是善跟不善照干的。那么整个世界的这些灾难，也是人心善与不善照干的。那现在我们看到，普遍能看到的时候，这个社会人的思想不正，都是自私自利、损人利己那这个佛家讲的贪嗔痴慢可以说达到了一个爆火点，所以感到个人有许多灾难，有许多这个疾病那社会的时候是混乱、天灾人祸这个真正主要原因在此地。如果我们能够把人性改善了把断一切恶行一切善，不但自己身体身心健康家庭幸福，这个世界可以能够达到长治久安能够达到一切众生不同的族群不同的国家能够和睦相处能够互助合作，那这个世界就是天堂，这个世界就是天园。
On the individual levels, each of us, from the study of other people, other religious scriptures, Master净空realized that all the goodness and wrongdoing of a person will attract fortune or misfortune to his life. It actually applies to personal illness as well. The right and the wrong thing that we do in our life will attract these things to ourselves. On the same principle, the same applies to a whole society and the whole world. Right now, from using Buddhist terminology, when we look at around the world and with all the media, when we open up a magazine, turn on the TV, almost everything that's being taught on these media, they are related to what we call wandering thoughts, discriminatory thoughts, and attachment. They are the three, what we call the three poisons. So they are everywhere. And of course, then our society are attracting this negative energy. Thus, we are experiencing so many difficulty and chaos in our society and around the world. If, however, we can turn around and do away all the wrongdoings and try to work ourselves to become a better person, to be a kinder person, then in terms we are helping our family, our community, and our society to become better.
I wonder, one of the things that interests me as a Christian is I feel that Buddhism challenges Christians to get out of their heads and stuff, but actually to practice their religion in things like attention, religious practice, and mindfulness, which I think is akin to what you're saying. There's a whole tradition of Christian meditation, but a lot of us have lost track of that, except in monastic quarters, and I think maybe it's that interaction between, particularly from the gift Buddhists have for Christians, is to take us back to attentiveness to what we understand to be the divine. I think that's a wonderful gift that you have for us.
他是很感谢师父，他说他觉得作为一个基督教徒而言，他觉得佛陀的教义带给他们最大的好处就是说，他们现在已经分工到一定的程度了，所以说很多的那种个人的修行跟修身，其实已经被分配到专门是在修道院的那些工作人员，他们才在做这些事情，他们已经忘记了修身跟修心的重要性。他说佛陀的教诲带给他的，至少对他而言， 他觉得是让他等于回归到这种根本的这种自我的修行，告诉他非常谢谢师父的这番话。
对，他这个提示非常重要。现在在东方，在儒释道里面，出现的问题就跟他所说的一样。所以当年我初学佛的时候，老师告诉我，佛在经典里面，不在寺庙里面，这个指示非常重要啊！所以我们这么多年来，真的得到这个佛陀教会的许多利益。如果不是这一句话，那我们要是从事于这个佛教寺院的工作的话，也会跟他一样。
Reverend Master is pointing out that you have pointed out a very important problems that all religions are experiencing, based from his experience in East, where Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, we are all experiencing these problems. We seem to rely so much on ritualistic part of our work that we forgot to cultivate ourselves, our inner selves, and actually reminded him that more than 50 actually 师父这个方东梅教授大概是60年前跟你讲的是吗？
对，58年前。
58 years ago, when Master Jin Kong first met his first teacher, Professor Fang Dongmei in Taiwan, he told Master Jin Kong that if you want to find true Buddhism, don't go to temple, go into sutras, go into holy scriptures.
Yes.
That's where they live.
Yes.
So Master is just he's just commenting that it is good that we haven't we try our best to start teachings. We emphasize the educational side of the Buddhism, or we would definitely we already experiencing similar problems.
Yes.
And he's just thankful that we were trying our best to go the other route, trying to go through education.
Yes.
所以我们也发现了，几乎所有宗教创始的这个教主啊，都是教育，都是大教育家。啊，释迦牟尼佛他时间长，他教了49年，啊，耶稣只教了3年，那被人害死的，啊，要不然时间也很长的。看穆罕默德27年，啊，可以说都是从事用现在眼光来说，那就是多元文化的社会教育工作。
And if we look at the written histories, we'll have realized that all the founders of different religions, they are great educators. For Buddha Shakyamuni, he was able to teach for 49 years. For Prophet Muhammad, he was able to teach for 27 years. And for Jesus Christ, he was able to teach at least 3 years to the mass. So they are all trying to promote, we can call that they are the volunteering social educators of their time. They are trying to transform the society and people through education, through their teachings.
这些圣人，他们的教学有些时间并不长，啊，像耶稣3年，在中国孔子只有6年，啊，孔子周游列国，那是寻求有人能够用他能够展示抱负，结果当时那些诸侯10几个国家没有人可以用他就回到老家去教学。他回到老家去时68岁，他73岁走的，所以实际上教学5年的时间，能够在东方，在中国，在东方产生这么大的影响，什么原因？他所说的他都做到了，啊，都做到了，他才教人的时候干预就生。所以我常常讲的时候，自己做到，然后再说到，这是圣人。啊，第二种呢，自己说到，确实能够做得到，这是贤人。那如果说自己说到做不到，那叫骗人。啊，所以现在很多这个从事于教育失败的时候，他自己没有做到。
Even though some of these religious founders may not have taught for a long time, take Confucius, for example. He was 68 when he returned to his hometown and started teaching. And he passed away at the age of 73. So he only taught for 5 years. But we can see how Confucianism has influenced not just China, but Eastern countries for such a long time, over 2,000 years. So it is not a matter of how long you teach. It is whether that you can practice. You can actually, people around you can see that you are practicing what you are teaching.
Yes.
So when people do that, then they will have realized your sincerity and follow you. Master often said that if you can, if after you have done what you have taught and teach others to do the same, you are considered a saint. Then if you teach others, then in the end you are able to keep up your word and practice yourself. You are considered to be a sage.
Yes.
But if you are teaching others what you cannot do yourself, then you are a liar. So it actually rhymes in Chinese, but anyway. So the point is we have to practice what we teach, and that is very important to all of us who are trying to teach and to help others understand us better.
Yes.
所以现在这个世界需要宗教里面的圣贤来拯救世界，这就是真正神爱世人。
So our world today, we need to have real saints and sages coming from each of our own faith, each different religions. They will help us to bring back this true, the essence of that's been created and that's been given to all the religious followers by different founders of different religions. We need to get back that spirit.
So do you think that interreligious relationships, dialogue, in that sense, challenge? I'm just wondering that, sort of thought that with that interest for us to be truer to ourselves, so that if Christians go on and on about love, which they do often, but we actually need to, if there are other religions, then we actually have to show that what we've said we actually practice. And similarly, from what other traditions, if they're particularly the things that are said or believed in the presence of the other person challenges you to be what you say you are, if you see what I mean. So in that way, interreligious dialogue ought to enable us to be what we are called to be or say we are, and that's a wonderful gift, isn't it? To enrich us.
他是说，其实在多元宗教的这个对谈跟沟通之间，他说他从师父的话中，他也听到另外一样东西。他就说，我们在神职人员在教导，尤其像基督教徒，我们谈的都是爱，神爱世人，爱这个字。但是在我们跟其他宗教交流的当儿，其实其他宗教也要看着我们，看我们是不是真的在实行这个神的教诲。所以说，在这样子一来，各个宗教人都可以观察，也可以监督对方，让大家要真正做到这一点。我说这其实是一个很重要的。互
相学习非常好。
Mutual learning. That's probably the best way to describe what you have just said. Yes.
那么如果说是在澳洲像我们这么多年来常常谈到的，跟联合国也谈到的，就希望这个世界上会出现一个宗教大学，每一个宗教是一个学院，将来所有宗教都是同学，都是一家人，那这个世界真的所有灾难就没有了这一个大学的时候，不同的学院都是同学，学的不同的科系，肯定那个方向跟目标是一致的。
Master mentioned one of his vision that he will truly hope to be realized some days. He also mentioned this to various UNESCO and UN conference attendees who were getting together, discussing how to further interfaith dialogues and communications. Basically, this vision is that he hoped to see one day there is a university of religions where it's comprised of different schools. Each religions will take up a school. So all the students in that university, although they may study different subjects, they have different majors, but they are all of one university and they can learn from each other. That way, when they graduate, when they go out and actually start teaching in their own faith and traditions, they will have a close tie with other religious teachers as well. Then this will help to resolve a lot of our religious conflict that we are seeing today.
像这种材料的时候，就是共同科目必须必修的啊。那这个科目修完之后呢，就是个人自己经典里面是要向上提升。
Perhaps a little compilation like this can be a starting point. Where it's a common course that every student have to take. Then they delve deeply into their own faith and traditions. But that will give people a starting point to understand each other.
It makes a huge difference who you're learning with and how you're learning. If you learn just with people just like you, then you just become, you don't grow, do you? But when there are others there, then you also learn more about yourself. I once preached a little while ago in a church, and there was some, I didn't know, but some Jewish people came, which is unusual in a church. And I was preaching, and then I looked at what I had to say, my sermon, and I looked at it and thought, is there anything here that would actually and I found that it was all right because it was from the Jesus words in the sermon, and they were really Jewish words in a way. But my feeling is that if it's a challenge for us, or in our religious gatherings, even if we're speaking only to our own faith group, to be able to talk as if somebody from another faith was there as well. So and that makes a big difference because it actually changes what you say in it. And probably deepens it rather than just saying the tribal language, as it were. Does that make sense?
Perfectly. In a broader, you broaden your teaching scope, basically.
Yes.
这个神父是提到说他了解到说在这样子的环境之下的话，你有不同宗教的同学同事一起来学习的时候，其实对你本身是一个也是多了解自己宗教的一个好机会。他就提到说他之前他也在一个教堂里面有这个讲道的时候，他说他就有发觉讲道的当儿就会有一些犹太教的这个朋友们一起来听，他就要很小心的看他自己讲的这个内容是有没有问题。他说结果他后来发觉都还好，因为其实都是这个什么所谓的这个犹太教他们的这个圣经上面的记载的一些东西，就说这个也是说在一起共同学习的当儿，我们不仅可以学习到其他人的这个经典跟他们的教学，我们也可以更了解自己所学的东西。
How long are you here in Australia? Who else are you meeting or doing while you're here?
他是想问师父会在澳洲待多久，然后有没有其他的团体我们要见面的？
我最近在治牙齿，大概还有1个半月这个就可以做完了。做完之后回来会住长久一点时间。
Master has been traveling, so he has been in and out of Australia quite often in the past few years. Right now he's seeing a dentist in Taiwan, trying to fix some dental problems.
That's important.
But he imagined it should be finished within a month and a half. Then he plans to return to Australia and stay for a longer time this time. And we have actually just visited the Hindu Council. Yes, and we plan to visit the Affinity.
Yes.
Later on today.
That's great.
And Master is leaving actually 2 days later.
上一次我们活动完了之后，本来就是想，到各个比较影响力多一点的时候，宗教我都去做一次访问。那么正好遇到灾难，南面这个火烧山，北面有水深火热，是不是啊？所以大家都忙着救灾，所以我们把访问的期间延到现在。
After the February interfaith event in Brisbane City Council, City Hall, Master planned to visit different religious leaders around Australia. But because at that time there was a big fires in the south,
Victoria, yes.
the Victoria fire. And in the north, in northern Queensland, there was a huge flood. So everyone was, their attention was somewhere else.
Yes.
So we have postponed the visit until now.
Yes. I think that's and what you've said, I think there are some fine religious leaders and from the Christian community that it would be good to encourage to meet more regularly with people like yourself and others. And in this city, I mean, I think His Eminence the Cardinal Pell has been very involved in international gatherings, and also Bishop Kevin Manning, Bishop of Parramatta, has been very involved in it. And I hope that that's something that we can build on. So your encouragement is very good to that, Joe.
是他这个神父是提到了几位这个大主教这个Pell 神父，还有在这个另外在这个Parramatta 那边有另外一位神父，他说未来他是 Manning 神父，他说未来都希望我们能够安排帮师父见个面。那他非常高兴，是这样子，彼此在一起能够听到像师父这样子的交流，是。
One of the things that I was saying, I think we have some connections from the Christian community, particularly from our council of churches, particularly with the Jewish community and Muslims. But I think it is still a new thing for us to be, particularly with some of the Eastern religions, and sometimes. Some Christians have more difficulty sometimes with that, but it's also because we don't always know who to talk to, and probably the same, who do you talk to in the Christian churches. And one of the things of the events we've done this year, it has meant that we have learned, we've made contacts with some people, so now I know somebody in the Sikh community I can talk to, and to a degree strengthened with the Hindu council, and I hope that's the case, that we may now be in a better position, having done something to meet more regularly, and I would hope that would be something that we could do. So your visit here today has encouraged me to think, well, how do I continue that, build those links?
是，神父是说，在过去他们这个整个澳洲的这个基督教联合会，他们走的方向基本上就是跟犹太教跟回教他们进行的沟通比较多，那其他不同宗教的比较少。那他希望在未来能够改变这样的状况，是尤其他现在刚刚认识了一个锡克教的这个领袖，他说会从这边开，然后今天又有师父来拜访，他非常感谢，那是他希望未来能够朝这方面多元宗教继续的努力。
我们希望呢，对大家能够去积极一点，都努力一点，因为我们从在印尼开会的时候，是今年春天在印尼开会，我们遇到这个世佛会的秘书长，我们就谈得很愉快。头一次见面，谈到晚上11点多钟。我给他建议的就是要团结全世界宗教那么最好就是在联合国每年呢有一次这个世界宗教大会团结全世界。除这个之外的时候，每年的时候至少要有一次宗教旅游，包一架飞机，各个不同的宗教在一起宗教和平之旅因为这样子有这么多国家参加，这么多人参加，那你到一个地方，这个人家国家领导人一定接近，当地宗教也会跟我们在一起来交流，确实有助于全世界宗教团结跟世界和平。那秘书长听到我的建议，他非常欢喜，我说你赶紧去做。那么现在他在联合国第一步就是筹备这个会议的时候，应该没问题明年的时候会召开，希望我们澳洲宗教作为主办单位。
To briefly explain, the World Council Religions for Peace, they are a fairly well-known NGO to UN. Their headquarters is right next to the UN headquarters in New York. The Secretary General, Dr. William Bentley, Master is able to meet up with him, and they became good friends. Last time in Indonesia, there was a World Peace Forum. another interfaith dialogue and conference where they met up together and they talked until midnight. One of the conference night, basically, Master encouraged him to try to promote religious harmony and interfaith dialogue, and we do plan to have an international conference regarding peace and interfaith dialogues in UN headquarters next year. And Dr. Bentley will help us organize that event in UN, and it is scheduled to take place sometimes in the middle of next year. So Master also suggested to Dr. Bentley that we should have such gathering at the UN once a year to gather different faith leaders from around the world to communicate with each other, to resolve problems if they have any. And also Master suggested that we can arrange and organize a group visit. Different religious leaders can visit different countries as a group. Perhaps we can even hire a plane to do just that, to travel around. This will facilitate and help help them get to know each other better. So and
it's I think it's a very powerful sign to the rest of the world.
Yes.
It really makes people sit up and think, yes, actually, these people are getting on, so they're communist.
他说觉得这个想法实在太好了，尤其是如果说能够各个宗教领袖在一起共同旅行，他说这个对世界上的人来讲，这是一个很强烈的一个表征，他们会看到说这些人都在和睦的在一起，生活在一块儿，我们还会有什么问题？是。
One of the things in a positive way out of sad events that have happened here in Australia, I think sometimes like after the attacks in America in September 2001 and after the Buddhist monks protest in Burma, is that I think in a way a lot of religious leaders were able to come together. So out of tragedy and out of suffering, that also gives us a chance to be together and to say, well, there's something more important than destruction and suffering, and we therefore a sign of hope if we can come together. That's encouraging to me as well.
If I may add, I didn't quite finish my translation.
Oh, yes, sorry.
It's that that Master was hoping that Australian religious communities and leaders, he was hoping that Australian interfaith community can be the main coordinators, main host for this event. That will take place in UN. That would be the ideal situation. 师父，刚刚神父是提到说，他知道从911之后，然后还有最近在缅甸有一些这个因为不公平的对待的问题，有一些出家人他们的声音，他们走上街道就是有抗议，那这样子的讯息有传遍全世界，那各个宗教领袖他们也有聚集在一起为他们祈祷。他说这都是一个，虽然说这是一个非常悲剧的一个状况，但至少这样子的事件把各个宗教领袖带到了一块儿，一起来做祈祷。他说这也算是一件好事。
是。我是前天听到美国总统得了一个是和平奖，所以我说这个是好事情。如果联合国把每一个这个国家宗教领袖都发一个和平奖，就不好意思打仗了。
Master was just saying that a few days ago he heard the news that President Obama has got a Nobel Prize,
yes.
Peace Prize, and he was just wondering if the UN has the wisdom to give to all major political leaders and a religious leader a similar prize, not called the Nobel Prize, of course. Then it will help them to realize what they do and what they say is important to the whole world.
That's right. Well, you've certainly thrown down, I think, a challenge. I think in Australia that many of us would feel that, as you've said, it is a relatively peaceful and harmonious society, and that really if we can't work out something, how we can live not just sort of tolerantly, but in a very positive, creative way with our diversity, then it's going to be a bit difficult for the rest of the world. So we should be able to provide some sort of, we should be involved in, not just for ourselves, but with others. So I think the challenge that you have for for us here in Australia and Australian religious leaders is one that we should hear and try and respond to. Yes, so I'm with you on that.
Thank you. 他说他听到师父讲的这些话，他觉得这个对澳洲的这个各宗教领袖、各宗教团体都是一个挑战。他说，如果说在这么和平、这么和谐的一个国家，我们都没有办法做到的话，那其他世界要怎么办呢？他说他相信我们必须要朝这个方向走。
他总理对我们这个期望很大，真的希望澳洲带动全世界的安定和平。
When Master mentioned this to Kevin Rod in person, he was very he was excited to hear that if we can help the Australian community, all of us working together,
yes.
to achieve this harmony
yes.
within us, then we can definitely influence the whole world and bring peace and harmony to everyone.
所以很难得这么好的一个领导人，全心全力来支持，这个很难得的机会。
He's very supportive of
yes.
any such movement.
Yes.
And Master
yes.
Commented that
yes.
Australia, it's wonderful that Australia can have a political leader like this.
Yes, that's right. I love that he said when he was elected that he was trying to be a prime minister for all Australians, which is a very ambitious thing. But I think that's part of the spirit of that. Yeah.
那这个总理曾经说过，他希望当每一个人的澳洲总理。他说这不是一件简单的事情，但他很显然他正在朝这方面做。是。
I hope that there are. I mean, I've mentioned a couple of our bishops, but Professor James Hare.
Yes. He has attended the February conference.
I think he would be, could be quite of assistance in helping to get that sort of thing going. There's, that would be very good.
Originally, we planned to visit him as well, but because actually Master Jingkong has an urgent situation that he needs to get back abroad, so
when
we
you
have
come
to cut
back,
short.
I think.
Yes. 他是提到另外一个，这个是Harris 这个教授，他有来参加我们2月份的活动。对，他在这方面也是贡献非常多。是。
John, not all of us are Buddhists. We have here a Catholic who practices Christian meditation.
That's great.
Catholic in the broader sense. I'm from your tradition.
Right, yes.
From the Diocese of Brisbane.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But I'm involved in developing with my good colleague Chulan Tan here an aged care facility and retirement living facility in the southern suburbs of Brisbane, which we are enjoying the bringing together of a number of people with up to 40% of our residents now are non-Buddhists, and they come together. We have Christian meditation. I'm not very much involved in the Christian meditation.
Yes. Well, I do feel, as indicating earlier, I do feel there's that. Yes. I guess we would say in Christian terms, the Holy Spirit is moving through, through the interreligious relationships to enrich us in all those different. And Christian meditation, I think, is one of those gifts that has been able to flourish a bit because of those sorts of things. Yeah.
And one of the outcomes that I find is rather encouraging is that through Christian meditation we're bringing our own divisions together.
Yes.
I actually live up in the Sunshine Coast hinterland, in the little town in the hinterland area, and in fact we have our weekly Christian meditation system in the Roman Catholic Church, and it's brought together the two congregations so strongly.
It's going deeper, isn't it? It's like, I don't know, different metaphors are used, but it's a bit, to me, it's like we've spent a lot of our time on the surface, but when we go deeper into something that's much more nameless, really, that.
I liken it to computer programs where you can click on something and it digs down, drills down to the next level, and drills down until we get the fundamental truths, which in fact emancipate themselves.
Yes, that's right.
And we found that the Buddhist meditation groups have been incredibly helpful.
他们觉得佛教的这个谈到的这个禅定对他们来说有很大的帮助。
My colleague Kathy, who might just say hello. She's a Roman Catholic, and and my other main colleague, we have a mixture of people here from a range of different traditions. The lady on the desk you met with, I think, is from the Coptic Orthodox tradition, and then there are others from a whole range, which is really enriching too on that level. Yeah.
所学习东西都不太一样。
对，是。所以方法可以不一样，手段可以不一样，它的方向目标是一样的。
So, although everyone might have done their teaching or learning through different methods or different ways, but the ultimate goal is the same. We wish peace and harmony for all of us.
所以这个佛经里面有法门无量但是他殊途同归他说是法门平等，无有高下。为什么？他达到的目标是一个，就是像我们走路一样，你选择的交通工具不一样，最后达到的目的地是什么
？Buddha once said that there are infinite numbers of methods that will help us to attain the ultimate goal. It's just like we can using any different type of vehicles trying to get to the same place, but the ultimate destination is the same for all of us.
I think for Christians we're wrestling, and very much in Sydney, because we have some. Sydney is probably the most religious city in Australia, and there are some very strong-minded people, which makes a lively society. So I think one of the challenges for Christians is how we reconcile clearly the immense diversity that there is in human life and expression and personality with our scriptures and the understanding that we have of the truth that's found in and through Jesus, and how are we both faithful to the truth that is there in our Christian tradition and also in what we clearly see as life and truth and faith in others. And some people are more inclined to say, well, we need to protect the understanding that there's clearly truth in everyone. I mean, I agree, there's truth, clearly Jesus' truth. And others are, how do we balance these things? That's a big challenge for the Christian community, I think. And maybe if you live in a predominantly Christian society and everyone around you is Christian, you don't have to face the question quite so much when there are others different to you. But so that's a big challenge for us here in Sydney, especially I think in Australia.
神父是说，雪梨基本上是一个非常在基督教非常强，就是支持非常强的一个城市。那就他而言，他自己的感受是，他们自己基督教徒不同的这个支派，不管他们的学习方法怎么样，当然大家都是基督教徒。那但是呢，在这么一个复杂而变化大的城市里面，他们基督教徒也会发觉其他的教诲、其他的教学，其实跟他们是有一些不尽相同的地方。那有一些基督教徒选择说不行，我一定要好好的保护我们这种思想跟学习。那另外的人却愿意接受其他人的想法。所以说这个对基督教徒本身来说是一个很大的挑战。怎么样在既有的学习的这个我们传承下来的学习经验里面继续学习，另外一方面还要再吸收，还要再希望能够了解其他人。
对，
他说这个对他们来说是一个挑战。
对，这个在今天整个世界都是我们必须要学的这门功课。一位民族，它有它的历史，它有它的渊源，这个决定不能够有任何伤害，必须要受到尊重的。可是我们居住在一个地球上，又要团结，又要互相尊敬，又要互助合作，是吧？所以他必须，这个功课就是一定要认真学习的，让我们都能够走到最美好，所以佛家它一个比喻很好，你像大方广和花园经，它就比喻个花园，这个花园里各种不同花卉的品种通通都有。都能够在一个花园里面共存共荣，而没有彼此迫害的，没有，绝对没有。所以这个比喻很有意思。我们想不同的族群、不同的文化、不同的历史、不同的生活方式，都能非常好。这个才叫真正美好，不是单一的。单 翻译的就没意思，是不是
？You are exactly right. This is indeed a challenge for all of us. We must, at the same time, we must respect diversity, because diversity came from different tradition, different culture, and historically there's a reason why it's there. There is a different culture, so we must definitely respect that. But at the same time, we are all living on this tiny planet Earth. We must work with each other in order for us to truly survive. Buddha Shakyamuni has stated in the Flower Adornment Sutra that just imagine a huge garden with only the same kind of flowers. We must have different type of flowers and allow them to thrive and respect one another. So in the end, we must try to work with each other to find peace and harmony amongst diversities. That's what we need to do. That's our work cutting out for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, I think one of the big challenges in the world of the growth of fundamentalism in different traditions. And I mean, you're talking. I was thinking, the passage in the Christian scriptures where Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," which is often used by and the only way to. But if you take that literally or out of context with the whole, but some people are inclined to simplify, especially in a world where people are very insecure, then they're likely to become more rigid and fundamental. Is that a problem within Buddhism as well? Do you find you've got growth of fundamentalism as well as Christian and Muslim fundamentalism is well known, isn't it? But
I found it less so, but I'll ask Master. 神父是讲说，基本上他觉得说在现在的状况之下，各个宗教都有很多那种所谓的基本教义派，他们就是比较极端一点。那比如说，他立刻可以想到圣经上有一段就是这个耶稣有说过，我所教导的就是事实，就是大家必须要遵从。他说这样子一段话就可以被一些人误解，他们把它简单化，把它僵化，然后所以说就变成了这个不同的这种基本教义派的这种他们的借口。那他是也很好奇，他说他当然知道在回教跟基督教里面有这样的状况发生，那在其他宗教像在佛教里面有没有这样的基本教义派的状况发生呢？
因为佛教它是一个我们中国人讲的是甚至实者也，它是随着时间去变化的。佛没有固定的东西，所以佛没有定法可说它完全是活的因为在这个时候，这个时代，这个地区，他说的是绝对对这个先前人有利益。但他在不同的地区的时候，那一边的人，他们的生活文化不一样，那说的是又是一种说法。这个讲目标、方向决定是一样的，但是讲法、做法都是活的，都不是固定的。所以佛没有定法可说，但是佛是有一定的方向，一定的目标。
Talking about fundamentalism, there are a lot less of that in the Buddhist traditions, as we can probably hear or not hear around the world today. It has something to do with the Buddha's teaching because it's very fluid. It's not set in motion. And he stated himself that for one particular region of people, if they require certain kind of teachings, he will give that certain kind of teaching to them. So the process may be different, the learning method may be different, but the ultimate goal is the same. So that's what his teaching is like. So perhaps that has something to do with less of a fundamentalism issue that at least the Buddhist community is facing today.
对学习，就像我跟马哈迪讲的一样，那这个回教长老，我说我读古兰经，我是虔诚的穆斯林。如果我不是虔诚穆斯林，我展开古兰经会产生很多误会。我说我翻开新旧约，我是虔诚的基督徒。我才能读得懂他的东西，我才能吸收他的，得到他的教诲。 如果说是我是佛教，那是基督教，那是回教，划成界限的，什么都得不到。你去读他东西，都会产生矛盾。啊，你把这个心理这个界限打开，是吧？佛是我的老师，基督是我的老师，穆罕默德是我的老师，都是我最好的老师，我是他们最好的学生，什么问题都解决了。
Just as Master has communicated with Dr. Mahathir in Malaysia, that when he reads the Quran, he will treat himself as the most faithful Muslim. That's how he can understand the teaching of Quran. If he's still thinking that he is a Buddhist student, then when he read the Quran, there will definitely be misunderstanding and basically misunderstandings. So when we are trying to study and to learn from the other religions and different faiths, we really should set our mindset to such that there should be no boundaries. We should not have a set limit in our understanding of others. That way we can truly delve into other people's teachings, into other religious materials and truly understand them. That is very important.
他同意我的话，我送观世音菩萨供养他。
And Dr. Mahathir fully agrees with that. So Master Jin-Kong gave him a painting of what's being called the Guan Yin Bodhisattva. This Bodhisattva has 1,000 hands and 1,000 eyes, which symbolize that whenever she sees someone in trouble, in difficulty, she will lend a hand and help them. Yes. We have two presents.
That's very kind.
This is a calligraphy.
Had a youth event we had, and it was great. Energy that young people had to bring to it, but they were quite clear. They wanted some elders from the different churches to be there as well, because the importance of wisdom from handing on the tradition is also important, as well as the energy and that. So we each have our place, don't we, in the family?
他说最近他们有一个年轻人的这个大型的聚会，年轻人反而主动要求希望年长的这个教师们都在，他们想学习他们的智慧，所以说我们都有我们自己的角色要扮演。
要传授，年轻人要接受。
Well, the elder generation has to be willing to give.
That's right. That's right. Yes. That's the challenge sometimes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a real delight.